Time does funny things to our perception of memories, especially in areas like games where technology is always advancing forward. We all have those games that we played when they first came out and remember them being amazing, only to find when returning years later that there are a lot of things that don't hold up. The Nintendo 64 was a very important console, both for me personally and for video games as a whole, but it is rife with examples of this. Getting to explore fully 3D worlds and being able to navigate them using this amazing new thing called an analog stick, it was very impressive at the time. But returning now, we're often confronted with muddy, foggy landscapes using a weird controller whose stick has long since worn out. Whilst some games are getting the full HD remake treatment which nicely solves these problems, there are some titles that seem doomed to be forgotten despite how important they are. And that leads me to Body Harvest. Body Harvest was a revolutionary game, a huge open world that could be explored without encountering a loading screen, with people to talk to, vehicles to commandeer, and secrets to find. All this combined with an engaging, complex sci-fi plot in which the genetically enhanced super soldier Adam Drake, no relation, must travel back in time to key points in Earth's history to thwart an alien invasion. It's a significant step on the road that eventually led developer DMA Design to creating Grand Theft Auto 3. The impact of which is still being felt in the video game industry today. It's funny to think about, but without Body Harvest, the whole open world genre might not even exist, along with big franchises like Assassin's Creed, Saints Row, and Far Cry. However, whilst Body Harvest is an important game, it's not necessarily a great game. A lot of the ideas that would later be fleshed out in GTA 3 are half-baked. The world is open, but the path you take through it is very linear, and opportunities to explore on your own are fairly limited. The game is full of characters, but their development doesn't go much beyond their dialogue portrait, and your interactions with them limited to, at most, being told to go fetch something and then being allowed to progress. Of course, these could partly be blamed on the system itself. It was rarely anyone other than Nintendo themselves who could coax more out of the N64's hardware. That said, Body Harvest's presentation is very strong. All the time periods you travel to feel different and have a real sense of place about them. They're also very unusual settings for a video game. When was the last time you played a game set in Greece during the First World War, or in Siberia during the 90s? Okay, maybe that last one was a bad example. The soundtrack is excellent, the ambient piano giving the player an appropriate feeling of isolation and lurking danger as you make your way across the invaded landscape. Driving the different era-appropriate vehicles is genuinely fun, and the game gets to do some cool things like jumping over a gorge on a motorbike in order to fetch a fire engine to help save a burning village, or using an ice cream truck to guide schoolchildren to a place of safety. The enemies are also very fun to kill, exploding in clouds of green gore with a satisfying squish. The shooting is good enough to not get in the way, especially as you can lock onto targets and have unlimited ammo with your starting pistol. My biggest gripe with the game stems from its difficulty. Being a fairly old game, its save system is really lacking. Save points only come in the form of special missile pods which launch from your ship after every boss battle, and death can often set you back 40 minutes or more. There is an easier difficulty level, which I think is a lot more fun, but if you play as a zero instead of a hero, the game ends after the third zone, leaving almost half the game behind a punishing, repetitive slog. Of course, the game doesn't tell you that up front, which is what ultimately led me to put the game down and never come back all those years ago. Despite these flaws, Body Harvest is an often overlooked highlight of the N64, and an interesting era to revisit when thinking about how we got where we are today. It might not be as impressive as it once was, but it's definitely worth the trip back in time to experience.